think you should.
Yeah, the Kawasaki Ninja is a extremely comfortable bike to ride. The suspension on these bikes is fantastic. It's firm, firm for handling, but actually quite soft for the rider. You know, it's quite amazing how they've got them set up. The ZX-14s are, you know, very manoeuvrable bikes. There's no problems with that at all. Obviously the power is, you know, power is nothing to compare against it with, really. Yeah, the amount of grunt these things have got in any gear at any time is just, yeah, something to experience. You can't really get a sense of it watching it like this on a video. You can only get a sense of it when you're actually on the bike riding it. The braking on these bikes, you got the twin discs at the front, the single disc at the rear. It'll pull this bike up as well as the bike will accelerate. It's actually very well matched. So as these bikes are, you know, psychotic acceleration, the braking system's the same. In fact, you could do a complete panic stop from 100 kilometers an hour or more just with the sheer weight of one finger. The visibility with the mirrors, yeah, I find it very good. You know, the mirrors are fine. The ergonomics of the bike is really good. You're not the full lie down sport bike position. It's probably 2/3 of that. You know, it's not, yeah, not quite the whole sport bike ergonomics. Certainly the angle of everything, the way you're situated on the bike, there's just very little weight on the wrists. Yeah, so all of that's good. The controls, everything's, you know, nice and easy to get to. Yeah, getting back to the suspension on these, like many bikes, you know, they are completely adjustable to suit the rider, the rider's weight, height, all the rest of it. These are no different. And once you've got one of these things actually tuned for yourself, yeah, it actually becomes a very good handling machine. If you're just, you know, hopping on one of these, someone offers you a test ride, I certainly would not try and play Wayne Gardner through the corners unless the suspension has been completely tuned for you, the rider. However, whether the suspension's set up or not in a straight line, yeah, it's something you certainly want to try. But these are the type of bike that you could tour a country with without any problems at all. I wouldn't say the ZX-14 is the most fuel efficient bike. I normally get around, I suppose, you know, 240 to 260 kilometers in a range of tank. I think the tank's about 22 litres odd, around that sort of figure, 23 litres, don't quote me. But for the fun factor, you know, these really do put it out, so you can sacrifice a bit of fuel money in your pocket for the amount of grunt they've got. But comfort wise, yeah, fantastic. If you want to do very long distance touring with absolute ease, these are the animal. Oh, we're on a bad bit of road here. Yeah, these are definitely the animal for that. Again, they do handle, but like I said, you know, ultimately you definitely want to get one of these tuned for yourself. It's not an expensive operation to take it to a professional and they'll set it right up, or if you know what you're doing, away you go. But if you're looking for, you know, the ultimate biking experience, either the ZX-14 or obviously the Suzuki Hayabusa, they're really your options. You can't really surpass them by much. Yeah, like in this case at the moment, you're on my shoulder and we're sitting on a 9-second quarter-mile bike, and that's sort of, you know, that's jumping into top fuel drag racing sort of regime. So yeah, but you know, hey, there's plenty of videos out there on YouTube for people to get an idea, or for yourself to get an idea of how they accelerate, what their top speed is, and all of that sort of stuff. But my main focus for this video is to express you know, the attributes of the bike, you know, as to what it was intended, and that's for sports touring. And for one bike that does that, this does it very, very well. Yeah, they run a hydraulic clutch, which is quite light, and it friction zones probably about a quarter off of the handlebar, so that's all good, it's all normal. The accelerator on these things is fairly touchy. We really are only millimetering it at a time. You be aggressive with this and it'll be very aggressive with you. But you know, you'd expect that. However, on the flip side of the coin, if you are just, you know, very gentle with this bike, it'll respond accordingly. In all seriousness, a learner could ride one of these and find it very easy to ride. I wouldn't recommend it, but my point being, these bikes will give you a full sense of security, you know. Yeah, and they are easy enough for anybody to hop on and ride. They do everything so well, but they will respond exactly to how you flick that wrist, and they'll respond exactly to how hard you squeeze these brakes. They will turn in the same manner. But being a long and heavy bike, in talking about turning, it is a combination of counter steering and body shifting weight. More so on any sort of high speed tight turns. Anything under sort of a high speed tight turn, it's quite okay to just do a very minor counter steer adjustment, and voila, away you go, you're around your corner. I would have to define them as a very, very graceful bike, because they just do everything so well. It's very underwhelming when you come off a ZX-14 and hop onto, say, a 1000cc like an R1 or the Suzuki 1000. In terms of power, there is absolutely no comparison between the two bikes. We have an R1 in our stable. It's a 2010 Big Bang. If you look at some of my YouTube clips, you'll probably see it. And whenever we got the two big bikes out, this one and the R1 out, and we're having a bit of a play, absolutely hands down, this one will take the R1 on every single time. But you know, hey, those extra 400 cc's, you'd expect that. But they're just one of the most slackest bikes to ride in terms of performance and everything else. Like on the street, the amount of power you got to do standard street speed limits, you know, city limits, 60 kilometers an hour, 80 kilometers an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, the amount of power these things have to achieve that, it's, you know, honestly, it's like being in a car and achieving 20 kilometers an hour and 30 kilometers an hour. You know, it's just absolutely nothing. And again, like I said, you know, I can be in any gear. It's a 6-speed transmission, and when I give it a fistful on the wrist, it'll respond damn hard in every gear. But you know, you can see certainly where things are legal, which is, you know, on the public roads, these bikes are an absolute dream. In fact, yeah, if you ride one of these for a long period of time, and this is why I've got an XVS 650, you know, the small Yamaha midweight cruiser, because this thing does everything so well, so effortlessly, you really, you know, struggle to feel like you're riding a bike in a lot of senses, you know. So you know, after a while, yeah, it's a lot of fun to hop on something that you've got to wring its neck out and, you know, rev the guts out of it to get it to do anything or go anywhere or whatever, you know, and feel like you're really pushing it. Because in these, if you're going to push one of these things, you know, you're going to be either in jail or you're going to be dead. It's pretty well much, you know, that simple. You really need a nice big open stretch to get these things to stretch their legs. I will say one thing though, I mean, they are a fairly hot bike to ride. That they do extract a lot of heat. That's why primarily I use this bike in winter, because it's fantastic. It's like riding a bike that has, you know, like twin hair dryers blowing on either side here. So yeah, winter bike, fantastic. Summer bike, wow, yeah, a bit hot. Even on a day like today, we're talking, it's probably, you know, I don't know, around 25 degrees, something like that. And my legs are starting to cook. I really need to do about 80 kilometers an hour plus before I'm getting enough airflow through to push the heat out. Because up front, of course, you know, directly behind the front wheel, you've got your extractors, which is, you know, your four exposed pipes, so air's hitting those pipes and getting warmed up. Then that warm air is passing through the radiator, which is the second stage, and then the third stage you've got is the general heat of the motor. So you've got the air going through the pipes, through the radiator, through the engine, and then ducted out through to you by your hips. So yeah, when it's a hot day, you really feel it. But again, you know, like I said, the way they're designed, as soon as you're doing around about 80 kilometers an hour plus, then all that heat is exhausted from the ducting on the bike, and you feel nothing. So again, you know, your long distance touring deal, these are very well set up for that. I wouldn't really say the ZX-14s would be a great city commuting bike. They'll do it, but again, it's the heat factor that would end up, you know, eventually putting you off in the long run. Well, I'll take this for a buzz up the hill. She hasn't gone up the hill for a while. I'll show you what it's like going up there. You know, sort of a little bit slower, windy roads. But you know, everything you need to do on this bike is just gentle, slow on the clutch, you know, releasing that. You don't need a rev match and all that bullshit. Not on these, you know. Sure, there's some bikes that you definitely have to, but you know, this thing's got so much grunt. You can be in any gear and do anything in any way, but the point of being aggressive with one of these is pointless, because you know they'll just do it. So we're going to head up the hill, go around a couple of windy roads, and yeah, we'll see what it's like. Yeah, normally riding these things around, your tacho sort of oozes its way around to 3,000, maybe 4,000 in between gears at best, if you're taking it really easy. So you know, and that's like at the moment, you know, I'm doing my legal 60 kilometers an hour. I'm in third gear, and I'm doing 2800 RPM, and I've got another 3 gears to go. So you know, normally when I'm on the dead flat, just not to put any load on the engine, I'll just click it into fourth and absolutely idle at my legal street limit. If it's undulating surface, I'll just leave it in third, because I prefer the engine revs to be up a little tiny bit in that sort of circumstance. And yeah, like most of the time, again, when it comes to braking, I'm doing it all on compression. I'm not doing it on the actual bike brakes. I arm the handle and show my brake lights, but 99% of the time, oh hello, some cruisers. 99% of the time, you know, I'm just yeah, using the engine braking on compression, and that's it. Let's catch up with these sport bikes and see what they're all about. These guys are obviously out for a weekend cruise. Good on them. Oh wow, man. Geez, he's got a hell of a back tyre on that thing. I hope they're not going right, because that's the way I want to go.